Wait a second, did he really just climb into the oven? You saw it right. These men lean into a blazing hot oven just to make bread. And not just any bread, one of the most delicious in the world. Let's see how it's done. They fire up the tandoor, a massive clay oven fueled by gas. The flames circle at the bottom and heat the clay walls until they're scorching hot. While the oven heats up, the dough's already getting started. The first step is handled by old machines, but that only takes it so far. From here, it's all muscle. Bakers step in to knead, lift, and portion the dough. Work that looks simple, but wears out even the strongest arms. The dough is heavy and elastic, and every push meets resistance. It fights back against the baker's hands. But that's exactly what makes it strong. Machines can't do this part. It's all down to people. The bakers knead and portion by hand, again and again, until the dough has the right stretch and bounce. It looks simple when you watch it for a few seconds, but try keeping that rhythm all day. The weight adds up. The effort builds in your arms, in your shoulders, even in your back. This is work that demands stamina, not just strength. Every press, every fold, shapes the texture of the bread. It's slow, physical, repetitive, and that's why it works. No shortcuts here, just steady muscle, skill, and years of practice turning raw dough into the base for thousands of loaves. Now the pace changes. The bakers move fast, unbelievably fast. Watch their hands. They cut, weigh, roll, and shape each portion of dough in seconds. The table never stays empty. As soon as one ball is finished, another is already being worked on. It's not chaotic, though. Every motion has its place. The dough balls end up almost identical in size, lined up neatly, ready for the oven. That consistency is key. In a bakery like this, they make thousands of loaves a day. If each one was uneven, they'd never bake properly. What's striking is the rhythm. There's no clock to keep time, no timer beeping. Just years of practice turning into muscle memory. The men don't even look down most of the time. Their hands know exactly what to do. And the speed never drops. One after another, hundreds of pieces of dough take shape, all in the time it would take most of us to shape just one. It feels more like choreography than baking. A kind of performance that repeats every day, every shift, until turning out perfect dough becomes second nature. In Uzbekistan, bread isn't just food, it's heritage. And the way it's baked here in Samarkand hasn't changed much in centuries. The oven you're seeing is called a tandoor. Archaeologists have traced these clay ovens back over 1,000 years, and their design hasn't really needed to change. This particular bakery uses tandoors almost 2 meters deep. Once the gas flames heat the clay walls, the temperature inside can rise above 400 degrees Celsius. At that heat, the dough cooks in minutes. But instead of sliding trays in and out, the bakers work in a way that looks dangerous to anyone watching for the first time. Each piece of dough is pressed flat, and then with one fast motion, the baker leans into the furnace and slaps it against the burning hot wall. There's no margin for error. Touch the clay and you'll get burned. Place the dough wrong and it falls to the bottom. It takes years of training before a baker can work at this speed and accuracy. The result is unique. The outer crust forms instantly, blistered and golden, while the inside stays soft. That contrast is why Samarkand's naan has such a reputation. For locals, this bread is part of every meal, from morning tea to late-night suppers. For visitors, Watching this process is as memorable as tasting it. Every motion here connects back to tradition. The technique, the tools, even the rhythm of the work links today's bakers with generations before them. Very excited and euphoric. Now look at the oven walls. Dozens of discs of dough, each one clinging as if glued in place. It seems improbable, but it's a technique that's been refined in Central Asia for centuries. Historians have found descriptions of this style of baking in Silk Road travelogues, where merchants wrote about bread that could last for weeks on the road. The high heat sealed it, keeping it firm on the outside, but soft inside. Every region in Uzbekistan has its own variation. In Tashkent, the loaves are flatter. In Bukhara, they're decorated with stamps. But in Samarkand, the emphasis is on size and durability. These rounds can weigh up to half a kilo each, and once cooled, they keep for days without losing their chew. Placement inside the oven is a skill of its own. The lower tier bakes faster and darker, the upper tier slower and lighter. Bakers learn how to mix those zones, so when a batch comes out, no two loaves are identical. That variety is part of the charm. Some families prefer the crisp edges, others want the pale, tender centers. And here's a detail outsiders often miss: the pattern pressed into the middle of each loaf, made with a wooden stamp called a chekich. It's not decoration alone. The stamp keeps the center from ballooning, ensuring the bread cooks evenly. The designs differ by city, by family, even by individual baker. It's a small signature, baked into every loaf. The moment of truth. The breads are ready to come out. The bakers use long metal hooks to pry them from the tandoor walls, working quickly before the next round goes in. Each loaf is golden, blistered at the edges and still steaming at the center. In Samarkand, this bread is called obi naan, or simply naan. For Uzbeks, it isn't just food, it's part of daily ritual. A meal without bread is considered incomplete. At weddings, the first loaf is broken and shared by the couple. At farewells, families send loved ones off with naan so they carry a piece of home with them. Even in small villages, bread is never thrown away. If it falls to the ground, people lift it, kiss it, and set it aside respectfully. The scale here is astonishing. A bakery like this can turn out 10 to 15,000 loaves in a single day. That's enough to supply entire neighborhoods, tea houses, and markets. And yet, each bread still carries the mark of a human hand, the stamp in the center, the stretch from where it clung to the oven wall. Eating it is simple. Locals will tell you the best way is with hot tea, sweetened with sugar, tearing the bread into pieces and passing it around the table. Others pair it with plav, the national rice dish, where the crust soaks up the oils and spices. Travelers often take loaves with them on long journeys. They stay fresh for days and, unlike many modern breads, they don't crumble apart. For Samarkand, this bread is more than a staple. It's a symbol of hospitality, of continuity, of pride. Every crackle of the crust and every soft chew inside connects the present to centuries of tradition. And for visitors, it's a taste of Uzbekistan you never forget. Next time your back is aching, think of this man. 89 years old, still up before dawn, still running his bakery in Japan, and looking stronger than most people half his age. Today we follow a day in his life. It all begins here, in the bakery, where he gets ready to start another shift. First task of the morning, square bread dough. Now he turns to one of his bakery's signatures, the spongy square breads. First up is the orange version. The dough glows with color as he folds it over itself, light and airy even before baking. When it comes out of the oven later, the crust will be delicate and the inside so soft it almost collapses between your fingers. It's a cheerful loaf, made to stand out in the display window. Next, he works with purple sweet potato. This ingredient has become a favorite in Japanese baking, not only for the gentle sweetness, but for the striking lavender color it gives the bread. It's the kind of loaf that makes people stop and look twice, then come back for a taste. Despite its playful color, the texture is the same cloud-like sponge, consistent in every square. And finally, a green square flavored with matcha. The earthy bitterness of green tea balances the sweetness of the dough, making it a flavor that appeals to both tradition and modern tastes. Matcha isn't just an ingredient here. It's part of Japanese culture, with roots in tea ceremonies stretching back centuries. Now caramel toffee cubes work straight into dough. These will bake into small rolls, each bite carrying pockets of sweetness. They're proof that even after 70 years of baking, he hasn't stopped experimenting, hasn't stopped enjoying the play between tradition and creativity. And while the first doughs are resting, he doesn't waste a second. He's already on to the next batch. More bread, more pastries, another mountain of flour to work through. Around him, younger staff move in and out of frame, but these aren't their tasks. These belong to him. He insists on doing them alone, the same way he's done for decades. Big mixers churn away in the background, heavy machines built to save effort. But he treats them more like assistants than replacements. Every ingredient that goes in, every switch that's turned, is guided by his hands. He knows the rhythm of the dough just by the sound of the paddle hitting the bowl. And when it comes to measuring, he doesn't bother with scales anymore. He doesn't need to. Quickly cutting up the caramel dough pieces before going straight back to mixing. A handful of flour, a pour of water, a pinch of salt, all done with absolute confidence. After 70 years, his hands are his scale. He can judge the weight of butter from the way it cuts, the hydration of dough from how it stretches between his fingers. It looks casual, almost offhand, but it's anything but guesswork. This is precision earned through repetition, a lifetime of practice turned into instinct. He never stands still. While one dough is left to rise, another is already on the table, being kneaded, stretched, and folded. As soon as that batch is covered, he's preparing yet another, moving seamlessly between bowls, trays, and mixers. To an outsider, it looks hectic, but for him, it's second nature. It's a rhythm he's followed for decades, a dance of flour and water, repeated thousands of times until it's become muscle memory. This year marks his 70th as a baker. That means he started as a teenager, just after the war, when bread was rare and precious in Japan. He's seen taste change, machines arrive, ingredients evolve. And through all that, he's kept working, every single day, refining his craft. Ask him why, and he doesn't talk about business or money. He simply says he enjoys it. For him, making bread isn't labor, it's play. It sharpens his mind, keeps his body moving, and brings joy to the people who line up for his loaves. In Japan, craftsmen like him are called shokunin, people who dedicate their lives to a single craft, repeating it until it becomes art. And here, in this small bakery, you can see exactly what that means. The first loaves are out of the oven now, golden, steaming, set out front for customers. One batch after another, the display fills quickly. Each bread soft, fluffy, shaped by his hands. And as soon as they're placed on the shelves, people are ready to buy. For the regulars, this is part of daily life. Fresh bread from the same baker they've trusted for decades. When asked how he stays so healthy, he laughs. There's no grand secret, he says. Eat carefully. Put your energy into the work in front of you. Use your body every single day. And then, sleep will come naturally at night. Watching him now, you realize it isn't the machines or even the recipes that make these breads special. It's him. The rhythm, the patience, the lifetime of repetition that has turned ordinary dough into something extraordinary. For him, baking has never just been about bread. It's about discipline. It's about spirit. It's about keeping the body strong and the soul content. By 9 in the morning, after hours of work, he finally sits down for breakfast. A bowl of soft rice porridge, a serving of yogurt he makes himself, and pickled cabbage dressed with sesame oil. These are modest dishes, but together they're balanced. Grains, dairy, and vegetables. The kind of meal that has sustained him for years. He says this is the secret to staying strong. Careful food, eaten every day. And when you see him moving with such energy at 89, it's hard to disagree. Back in the shop, more trays come out of the oven. The smell fills the room. And so do the customers. The bakery is alive, buzzing with people. This is what 70 years of practice look like, distilled into bread. The loaves here are famous. Soft, springy squares that feel almost weightless when you hold them. Customers describe them as eating a cloud, and judging by the way they vanish from the shelves, that's no exaggeration. Every morning, trays are lined with fresh breads, and every morning, they sell out within hours. You can see why. The golden crust, the pillowy interior, the sweet aroma that fills the shop. People don't just buy one. They leave with bags full, enough to share with family, neighbors, friends. And behind it all are the same hands, the same baker, working since the 1950s. He's lived through eras when bread was scarce, when ingredients were harder to find, when every loaf was precious. That history is built into his craft. And when the long day finally ends, he closes the shop and heads home. Still upright, still smiling, still moving with the strength of someone half his age. At 89, he looks like he could keep going for hours. And tomorrow, he probably will, because for him, this isn't a job. It's life. This Korean spot is serving Detroit-style pizza, and rumor has it, they make over 1 million a month. Let's check it out. We're starting with the base, and of course, that means pizza dough. At first glance, nothing unusual, just flour, water, yeast, and salt. But what makes it impressive is the scale. Huge amounts of ingredients are measured and poured in, carefully balanced so the texture comes out exactly right. The mixture turns slowly, coming together into a soft, elastic mass. Stretchy, alive. Once the mixing is finished, the dough is lifted, heavy in the hands, but still light enough to promise an airy crust later. It's soft, pillowy, almost like a cushion when pressed. The dough is set aside to rest, Moving on now, we've got the vegetables. Onions, carrots, and celery. Each one is sliced down. Nothing fancy, just steady knife work. And already the colors are starting to pop on the board. This is where it gets interesting, because these aren't just any vegetables tossed in. They're about to be transformed with a marinade that's honestly genius. Into the mix go anchovies, salty, rich, full of umami, followed by a good pour of olive oil to carry all those flavors. A few sprigs of fresh rosemary are added, and the fragrance is incredible the moment it hits the oil. The vegetables are tossed until every piece glistens, coated from top to bottom. Then they're spread onto a tray, making sure each carrot stick, onion slice, and celery piece has room to roast. Into the oven they go, and within minutes the smell in the kitchen changes completely. The anchovy and rosemary perfume the air. The vegetables caramelize and soften. And suddenly, it's not just onions and carrots anymore. It's a whole new depth of flavor. When they come out golden and tender, the tray is tipped straight into a pre-prepped broth, turning it into something rich and aromatic. And with that simmering away, we're back to the dough, resting and waiting for its next step. Now we're back with the dough, and just look at the size of that batch. It's massive, enough to feed a small army. This is the point where all that mixing and resting pays off, because now it's time to portion. Big handfuls of dough are lifted out and weighed, each one carefully measured so the pizzas bake evenly later. No guessing here. Every piece needs to be just right. Each chunk is rolled gently between the hands, tucked under, and shaped into smooth, round balls. It's not just about looks, though that's satisfying too. The tight surface tension helps the dough hold its shape as it rises again. You can see the trays filling up, row after row of identical balls. Once they're portioned, they're covered and left to rest once more. This resting stage might look like nothing's happening, but it's crucial. The gluten relaxes, the yeast gets busy again, the flavor builds slowly. Over the next stretch of time, these plain little balls will grow soft and pillowy, ready to become the crisp golden base of a Detroit-style pizza. Time to make the heart of every pizza, the sauce. This is the soul of the pizza, the layer that ties every topping together. By the time it's ready, the kitchen already smells like the promise of good things coming. Into a pan goes a generous drizzle of olive oil. Garlic is minced fine and tossed in first. Then come the diced onions, softening slowly until they turn translucent and sweet. Canned diced tomatoes are added next, bright red and juicy, breaking down as they bubble. A few key spices go in: salt, pepper, maybe oregano, maybe a pinch of chili. Simple, but perfect. The mixture simmers, thickens, and changes from a pile of raw ingredients into something smooth, rich, and balanced. Now it's getting a little unusual. Instead of a flat tray, we're pulling out deep, square pans, the signature shape for Detroit-style pizza. Each pan is coated generously with butter, not just brushed lightly, but spread thickly so it soaks into the dough as it bakes. The sides, the corners, everything gets a glossy layer. Then one of those rested dough balls is placed in and pressed outward with careful fingertips. It's tucked into place, edges snug against the pan. That butter will crisp up the sides, almost frying them as they bake, while the inside stays light and airy. Already you can imagine the bite. Crunchy edges, soft middle, cheese melting into the corners. This step sets up the crust to be unforgettable. Toppings get just as much attention as the main ingredients. Tomatoes are sliced with a specialized machine, ensuring every round is perfectly even. Important when you're assembling dozens of burgers at speed and still want every bite to feel the same. For acidity, the kitchen turns to pickling. Onions and red cabbage are tossed with dill before being covered in a hot brine of water, vinegar, sugar, and spices. As the liquid steams, it infuses the vegetables almost instant tang, vivid color that stands out against the rich burgers. In Korean dining culture, pickled sides are a tradition. addition, from kimchi to quick pickled radish. And here that same principle applies. The sharpness of the pickles doesn't just brighten the plate, it cuts through the fat of the cheese and beef, bringing balance to what would otherwise be overwhelming richness. Very excited and euphoric. Back to the dough again, and the transformation is obvious. Those deep pans filled earlier have now risen beautifully. The dough is airy, light, and puffed up against the sides, ready for heat. This is the moment where Detroit style really shows its trick. The first bake happens with no toppings at all. The trays slide into the oven just as they are. Bare dough pressed into butter. The heat works fast. The butter melts, bubbles, and fries the bottom edges, while the dough lifts higher, forming its structure. After a while, the pans are pulled out and the results are already gorgeous. Golden on the bottom, crisp at the sides, solid enough to hold what's coming. This extra step might seem unusual, but it's what gives the crust that signature crunch outside while staying soft inside. The base is ready, and now the real fun begins. And now we hit the best part. Toppings. First comes the essential foundation, a ladle of rich tomato sauce, spread edge to edge, followed by a generous layer of cheese. And not just a sprinkle, a serious amount. Enough to bubble, stretch, and run down the sides, fusing with the butter to create those famous crispy cheese edges. From here, the variety explodes. One tray gets shrimp, plump and pink, nestling into the sauce. Another is piled with juicy chicken chunks, seasoned just right. Some are scattered with extra cubes of cheese for those molten pockets. Others are covered with a rich minced meat sauce, hearty and savory. And then there are sausages, sliced thick, laying across the top, ready to blister and sizzle in the oven. Each pizza looks different, each one a small mountain of toppings. Cheese starts to bubble. Sauce begins to caramelize at the edges. Steam rises from the meat. You can hear it crackling. You can see the golden crust forming deeper. You can smell everything blending together. One after another, pizzas come out of the oven looking like works of art. Crispy edges, gooey centers, toppings baked right into the surface. The counters line up with tray after tray, each one unique, but all irresistible. It's a flood of color and texture. Red tomatoes, golden cheese, pink shrimp, browned sausages, sizzling meat. Honestly, this is the point where you grab a napkin, because just watching this is making mouths water. It's Detroit style at its boldest, and every tray proves why people can't get enough. Some pizzas come out piping hot straight from the oven, but the toppings don't stop there. One is spread with creamy avocado paste, cool and green against the bubbling crust. Another is topped with a fresh drizzle of tomato sauce, brightening the flavor. Parmesan is grated over the top of yet another, snowing down in fine flakes that melt instantly on the heat. Each pizza gets its own finishing touch, and the variety is endless. The contrast is beautiful. Molten cheese underneath, fresh ingredients added after baking. It's richness layered with freshness, indulgence paired with balance. The trays are set out, each one looking different, each one inviting in its own way. And of course, we can't forget the steak. After its long bath, the beef is pulled from the bags, juices locked inside. By now, the smell in the room is overwhelming. Buttery crust, roasted meat, melted cheese, fresh herbs. Every option looks like the right choice. Very excited and euphoric. And of course, we can't forget the steak. A sharp knife slices through, and the inside is perfect. Each slice is thick, juicy, and dripping. One of those slices is laid right across the top of a pizza, the crust holding firm underneath. The combination is outrageous. It's indulgence stacked on indulgence, and honestly, just watching the juices run across the surface is enough to make you crave a bite immediately. And now, finally, it's ready to serve. Each pizza looks like a feast in itself, heavy with flavor. No wonder the place is packed. No wonder they're pulling in numbers like 1 million a month. All that's left now is to cut a slice, take a bite, and taste what the hype is all about. So really, what are you waiting for? This is the kitchen of an unmanned bento shop. Staff prepare everything in advance, stock the shelves, and leave before opening. The day begins with tamagoyaki, the Japanese rolled omelet. Eggs are seasoned with dashi stock, soy sauce, and sugar, then cooked in thin layers, each folded carefully over the last. The process creates a soft, golden block with dozens of delicate layers. Tamagoyaki is one of the most recognizable bento foods. Its sweet, salty flavor and fluffy texture balance the richer fried dishes that follow. Next comes fried chicken, in several styles. Some pieces are dipped in a light marinade and fried in batter. This is karage, juicy and crisp. Others are coated in panko breadcrumbs to make chicken katsu. Panko, invented in Japan during the 20th century, creates an airy crunch that stays crisp even after cooling, making it perfect for lunchboxes. Onions are fried until golden and fragrant, then tossed with ultra-thin slices of beef, seared quickly to keep them tender. A glossy, sweet-sour sauce ties it together. This style of beef and onion recalls gyudon, one of Japan's most popular rice bowl meals, adapted here for bento portions. The chicken katsu is sliced neatly, then varied with different toppings. Some plain, some with rich tonkatsu sauce, others with tomato-based blends or spicier sauces. Freshly steamed Japanese rice is portioned into each bento. Unlike long-grain varieties, Japanese short-grain rice is naturally sticky, allowing it to clump together. Perfect for eating with chopsticks and for holding its shape in a lunchbox. Beside it goes shirataki noodles, translucent strands made from konnyaku yam. They're often simmered or stir-fried. Another staple side is hijiki nimono, simmered hijiki seaweed cooked with soy sauce, mirin, and sugar, mixed with carrot strips and fried tofu. Hijiki has been eaten in Japan for centuries and is valued for its minerals and dietary fiber. Each box is then finished with its variation of chicken katsu, plain, sauced, or spiced. The chicken bentos are now finished, neatly packed with rice, noodles, vegetables, and crispy katsu. Next, the kitchen prepares another variety, bento with rolled chicken. These rolls are usually stuffed with vegetables or herbs before being fried. creating a spiral of color and flavor inside. By offering both the classic cutlet and these more elaborate rolls, the shop adds variety to customers. Finished bentos are stacked carefully onto shelves, each row offering a different combination of rice, meat, and sides. Once the stock is ready, the staff's job is done. They leave the shop unmanned. For customers, the space is more than just a pickup point. Alongside the meals are microwaves for reheating, tea and coffee machines, and neatly arranged utensils, turning the shop into a fully self-service station where anyone can walk in, eat, and leave without interaction. As the shop opens, customers come in, choose their meal, drop payment into the box, and quietly leave. An introvert's dream. Would you visit a place like this? What makes these kids light up with so much joy? Maybe it's the food waiting in their elementary school canteen. Let's take a closer look. The day begins as first graders arrive, backpacks bouncing, voices filling the hallway. They're full of energy. Maybe because of the camera. Or maybe this really is how excited they are every day to step into school. Attendance is the first task. What's special here is that even this routine is given to the students. A first grader calls the roll, teaching responsibility and teamwork from the start. Once everyone's present, the first lesson begins. Fast forward, the class is over, and while the children move on to their next subject, let's step into the canteen to see how their lunch is being prepared. Hygiene here isn't just important, it's the foundation of every meal, because hundreds of children will be eating this food. Today's menu is a mix of comfort and nutrition. Rice served alongside tandoori chicken, with sides of boiled cabbage, seaweed, and miso soup filled with tofu and enoki mushrooms, plus a carton of milk. The chicken gets extra care, marinated in yogurt and curry powder. The yogurt tenderizes the meat, removes any strong smell, and leaves it soft enough for even the youngest students to enjoy. It's one of the most popular dishes on the rotation. But popularity isn't the only goal. Every school lunch in Japan has to meet national nutrition standards. Careful limits on calories, protein, fat, and vitamins. So each tray is balanced not just for taste, but for long-term health. Vegetables are washed 3 separate times to remove dirt or dust. Each kitchen station has its own role, ensuring safety and consistency. For many kids, these lunches introduce flavors they've never tasted at home. Sometimes it's overwhelming. Some children refuse to touch certain foods. Others even cry. But the hope is that bit by bit, they'll develop their palate and learn to enjoy new tastes. While the kitchen nears the final stages of lunch, the students are in art class. Today's project is making figures. Everyone has the same supplies, but what they create is completely their own. A chance to encourage creativity while working from equal resources. The idea is to nurture imagination while keeping the playing field equal. And judging by the smiles, they couldn't be prouder of their creations. Back in the canteen, the final dishes of the day are coming together. The menu isn't designed to please everyone equally, and that's intentional. Some foods may be less popular with the children, but variety teaches them to try, to adjust, and to discover that healthy food can taste good when you give it a chance. Once the meal is ready, carts are wheeled into the dining hall. But unlike in most schools, the kitchen staff don't portion or serve the food. That role belongs to the students themselves. Before lunch, every child puts on a clean apron and carefully washes their hands. Then the work begins. Even the youngest first graders are given tasks they can manage, like handing out milk packs or setting utensils. Older students, like the 6th graders, are trusted with the bigger responsibilities, portioning steaming hot dishes, carrying trays, and making sure everyone gets a fair share. This system may look unusual, but it's deliberate. It teaches accountability, respect, and the idea that a meal is something you contribute to, not just something you receive. And in the process, it creates moments where younger and older students work side by side, building teamwork across grades. Before eating, there's even a short quiz. Today the question is, where does tandoori chicken come from? The guesses fly. Italy? Number. India? Correct. Making food a way to learn about the wider world. When it's finally time to eat, the verdict is clear. The kids say today's meal is even better than usual. They love the tandoori chicken so much, some declare they could eat it every day. Plates are cleared faster than normal, proof of just how much they enjoyed it. Once the meal ends, the work continues. Tables are cleared, dishes carried back, and surfaces wiped down. Every student has a role, divided into teams that rotate weekly so tasks stay fair. It's not optional. Every Japanese school does this. It's about more than cleaning. It teaches responsibility, gratitude, and the idea that enjoying a meal also means helping with what comes after. Some kids mention they also clean at home, but not nearly as often as they do here. Still, they see it as part of daily life, and even make a game of it. And of course, moving around after lunch doubles as exercise. Another way the system keeps children active. For the canteen staff, the greatest reward doesn't come while cooking, but after the meal is done. Most classes return their pots completely empty. Not just the favorites like chicken, but even simmered beans and mixed vegetables, dishes many kids usually avoid at home. That, they say, is proof that the system works. When the wagons come back, often spotless, it brings a quiet satisfaction. Sometimes there are even handwritten notes tucked inside, little drawings, thank yous scribbled in colorful markers. For the staff, those messages carry more weight than anything else. They remind them that all the hard work, washing vegetables 3 times, carefully portioning meals, cleaning up afterward, truly reaches the students. What looks like empty pots is really a sign of full stomachs, happy smiles, and gratitude passed from children back to the people who feed them every day. Ever wondered what it's like behind the scenes at one of the sweetest cafes in Jeju Island? Let's follow this talented barista for a whole day and find out. The rainy season starts today, though right now it's only a light drizzle over the island. He begins the morning with his first coffee. Normally, a cappuccino would be the choice for a rainy day, but today he goes for something different. It's just right for weather like this, warm, cozy, and topped with a strong dusting of chocolate powder. Sipped without mixing, little bursts of chocolate pop in the mouth, giving a deep, lingering flavor. He laughs and says you'll have to try it yourself once it's officially on the menu, because it's that good. The perfect start to a rainy day in Jeju. With the morning coffee done, work begins. The first order of the day is for delivery. A blueberry yogurt smoothie, cold, creamy, and fruity. It makes you wonder sometimes. Does he ever think about the faces behind these delivery cups? The people waiting at home or at work, the stories behind each order? Who's going to drink it, and what kind of day they're having? He doesn't say, just keeps working with a quiet smile. Then comes a cappuccino, paired with a fresh watermelon juice. One rich and foamy, the other light and refreshing. First up is the Himalayas. It's a light, refreshing drink with those beautiful layers that catch your eye right away. The colors stand out against the ice, and it just looks cooling and crisp. The kind of thing you'd want on a humid Jeju afternoon. Then comes the iced mocha bong blanc. This one goes in the complete opposite direction. Rich, sweet, indulgent. They top it with a really generous crown of cream and then scatter chocolate pieces over the surface. It almost looks too good to stir, like a little dessert hiding inside a coffee cup. Two very different drinks, but both made to leave an impression. Now the orders start to feel a bit more playful. An ice cream waffle makes its way out, and this one comes topped with 2 big scoops, 1 green tea and 1 vanilla. The waffle itself is golden and crisp on the outside, but still soft inside. As soon as the ice cream hits, you can see it slowly melting into the little pockets of the waffle. Warm and cold together, soft and crunchy. It's the kind of treat that never fails to catch attention. Sweet, comforting, and honestly, the kind of thing that disappears fast once it's served. A little later, another group of drinks is on the counter. An Americano, a green tea travel, and another Himalayas. 3 completely different moods in 3 cups. The Americano is bold and straight to the point, for someone who just wants the strong taste of coffee. The green tea travel is smooth and milky, carrying that light tea aroma that feels gentle and calming. And then the Himalayas again, cold, refreshing, and layered so the colors pop. But this time, it's slightly different. The customer asked for more milk and less cream. A small adjustment, but it changes the balance of the drink. It's little choices like this that show how people make even a menu item their own. And then, 2 more colorful drinks. A strawberry yogurt smoothie and the sunny side up peach. The strawberry smoothie is creamy and pink, with just enough tang to balance the sweetness. The sunny side up peach is something special. It really does look like a sunny side up egg, with the pale white layer and a golden peach center shining through like a yolk. It's fun, it's bright, and it fits its name perfectly. Even before you taste it, it makes you smile. And when you do, it's light, sweet, refreshing, like drinking a little bit of sunshine on a gray Jeju day. Now here's a real highlight. The chocolate-holic waffle. This isn't just any dessert. It's one of the signatures from their very first store. And even today, people still ask for it by name. The waffle comes out warm and soft, with that deep cocoa flavor baked right in. On top, a thick drizzle of chocolate sauce runs down the sides, pooling into the little squares. And as if that wasn't enough, it's piled with extra toppings, more chocolate pieces, cream, and even a dusting of cocoa powder. It's indulgence stacked on indulgence, the kind of order that makes people's eyes light up when it arrives at the table. Some come in just for this one dish, and you can see why. After a rich dessert like that, the pace shifts back to something lighter. Smoothies. One blueberry yogurt, one plain yogurt. Simple, tangy, refreshing. They might not be flashy, but they have their own following. There's something about that cool, creamy texture, especially on a humid day, that keeps customers coming back. It's the sort of order that doesn't need decoration. The flavor speaks for itself. Next, the classics. An iced Americano and an iced latte. Everyday staples. The Americano is sharp, bold, stripped down to the essentials. The latte softens the edge with milk, smooth and comforting. These two are like the backbone of any cafe. Reliable, familiar, and ordered countless times a day. Watching them being made, you realize how much of a rhythm they bring to the work. And finally, a larger order that mixes it up. 2 iced Americanos, another iced latte, and a watermelon juice. Enough variety to cover a whole group, from the strongest coffee drinker to someone who just wants something cold and fruity. The watermelon juice, bright and refreshing, adds a splash of color alongside all the coffee cups. Orders like this really show the balance of the cafe. Not just coffee, not just desserts, but something for every taste. From rich waffles dripping with chocolate to simple, everyday coffee. Each order has its own character, and together, they create the flow of a busy afternoon in Jeju's cafe scene. As the day turns to evening, the cafe finally slows down after a steady stream of orders. This place runs every day from 10:30 in the morning until 9 at night, giving plenty of chances for locals and visitors to stop by. And that brings us to the end of today's look inside a cafe's day here in Jeju. They may look like spinning tops, but these aren't toys, they're onions. Here in Korea, this restaurant is known for its bold twist on American comfort food. Giant juicy burgers stacked high, and one of the most eye-catching sides you'll ever see. Today, we're stepping into their kitchen to see how it all comes together. Everything starts with the foundation of any burger, the patty. Fresh beef is ground, portioned, and shaped carefully by hand. Consistency here isn't just for looks. It ensures that every patty cooks evenly and delivers the same balance of crispy crust outside and juicy interior inside. The onions are prepared with a specialized cutter that turns each one into a flower with dozens of petals. They're then soaked in cold water, which helps the petals fan open and lock into shape. Later, once battered and fried, this structure creates that signature blooming effect. Crisp edges outside, tender onion inside. One of their most talked about creations is the mac and cheese burger. Preparing it begins with a massive pot of pasta. After boiling, the macaroni is coated in olive oil, not just for taste, but to keep it from clumping as it cools. Meanwhile, the sauce comes together. Full-fat milk and cream, whisked with spices like paprika. It's heavy, it's rich, and that's exactly the point. Indulgence first. 2 kinds of cheese are shredded and stirred in. One for melt, one for sharpness. Together they give the sauce both stretch and depth. When combined with the pasta, it becomes a topping bold enough to sit on top of a burger. To finish, chopped cauliflower and onions are mixed in, adding sweetness and crunch. It's not just creamy mac and cheese anymore. It's a dish with layers of texture. Once cooled, this mix is set aside, ready to become the centerpiece of a burger. Toppings get just as much attention as the main ingredients. Tomatoes are sliced with a specialized machine, ensuring every round is perfectly even. Important when you're assembling dozens of burgers at speed and still want every bite to feel the same. For acidity, the kitchen turns to pickling. Onions and red cabbage are tossed with dill before being covered in a hot brine of water, vinegar, sugar, and spices. As the liquid steams, it infuses the vegetables almost instantly, giving them crunch, tang, and a vivid color that stands out against the rich burgers. In Korean dining culture, pickled sides are a tradition, from kimchi to quick pickled radish. And here that same principle applies. The sharpness of the pickles doesn't just brighten the plate, it cuts through the fat of the cheese and beef, bringing balance to what would otherwise be overwhelming richness. Not every patty is beef. Shrimp is also on the menu, but only half is blended smooth. The other half is left chunky to keep that bite of seafood intact. Seasoned, shaped into balls and rolled in breadcrumbs, these patties fry up golden and crisp while staying juicy and soft inside. Even the bun has its own flavor profile. A house-made sauce of mayonnaise, ketchup, mustard seeds, and garlic ties the elements together, giving each burger its signature taste. On the grill, every movement is intentional. First come the buns. Each half is brushed with softened butter, not just for richness, but to create a barrier that keeps them crisp under all the toppings. They're laid face down on the hot surface until the edges pick up a golden brown hue and a light crunch. One by one, the toasted buns are lined up, forming the base for the burgers to come. Now to the meat. Instead of thin patties, the kitchen starts with hefty balls of freshly ground beef. When they hit the grill, they're pressed down, but not all the way. The goal isn't paper-thin smash burgers, but thick patties with just enough pressure to form a crust. That crust locks in the juices while the inside stays tender. Seasoning is simple. A pinch of salt, a crack of black and white pepper. When the beef is high quality, that's all you need. The patties are flipped only once, a method that shows confidence in the grill's heat. As the second side sears, a slice of cheddar goes on top. The cheese melts fast against the hot surface of the meat, but the process doesn't end there. Each patty is lifted onto a flame grill where open fire kisses the edges, melting the cheese even further and layering in a smoky aroma. It's a step that adds depth you can't get from a flat top alone. The shrimp patties are fried until golden. Crisp at first bite, soft and rich within, they offer a completely different kind of indulgence. From here, it's all about choice. Some burgers stay as singles. Others are stacked into doubles or even triples. One arrives topped with sweet, charred pineapple. The tropical burger, where smoky beef meets fruit that's juicy and bright. Another leans in a different direction. Creamy avocado layered thick across the patty. Buttery and rich, balancing the salt of the meat. But the mac and cheese burger is the star of the show. The macaroni is mixed with its sauce just moments before serving, so every noodle is still glossy and full of flavor. A fresh handful of shredded cheese goes in, and then the whole mix is spooned generously onto the patty. It's part burger, part full meal on its own. The shrimp burger offers a contrast. It begins with a bed of crisp coleslaw spread across the bun. Fresh cabbage and carrots, tangy dressing. Then the golden fried shrimp patty is laid on top. The bite is completely different. The blooming onion is one of the restaurant's most dramatic sides, and it goes through several careful steps before it reaches the table. Each onion is dredged and battered not once, but 4 separate times. The repeated coating ensures every single petal has a thick, even crust that will hold up in the fryer. When it's time to cook, the technique matters just as much as the recipe. The onion is lowered into the hot oil with a practiced twisting motion. It keeps the oil from splashing and helps the petals fan out, blooming wide in the heat. What comes out of the fryer is unmistakable. A bright orange flower, edges crisp and golden, the center still soft and juicy. The coating shatters with each bite, while the onion inside stays sweet and tender. It's meant to be shared, pulled apart piece by piece at the table. More than just a side dish, it's a spectacle, crunchy, dramatic, and addictive. The kind of food that turns heads the moment it leaves the kitchen. The table is finally covered from end to end. And to round it off, a thick milkshake, the kind that feels like a meal in itself. Towering stacks of signature burgers, each one different in flavor, but all built with care. It's the sort of spread made for friends gathered around the table, but tempting enough for someone to tackle on their own. In Korea's dining scene, global comfort food is often reimagined with local creativity. Here, the American burger isn't copied, it's reinvented. Bigger, bolder, and playful in ways that keep people coming back. What looks familiar at first glance ends up feeling completely new, and that's exactly the point.